Yeah, we back. Put my headphones back on. All right. All right, we're back. That was crazy. That was crazy. All right, TikTok, listen. I watched a YouTube video about CIA whistleblower on YouTube. I don't think it's misinformation. Y'all can't keep cutting me down like that, big dog. Come on, man. All right, y'all, I'm back. I'm telling you, they cut my life for misinformation. How? I just read a fact on Google. How is it misinformation? All right, we're getting back into it. TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. TikTok. Relax. Relax. Relax.
I killed that janitor. And he said, I knew you were going to say that. You didn't kill the janitor. You had no idea what Powell was going to do with the information. I said, I know, but I still feel guilty about it. Other than that, thank God, I never had to do it. I'm not sure how I would sleep at night.
Do the US still assassinate people by the CIA?
Absolutely, yes. When Barack Obama was president, John Brennan, in the first term, was the Deputy National Security Advisor for Counterterrorism, and he started something called the Tuesday Morning Kill List meeting. So it would be Brennan, it would be the National Security Council attorney, somebody from the CIA General Counsel's office, and a representative of the director of the Counterterrorism Center. And every Tuesday morning, they would meet at the White House, come up with a list of people to kill that week. The teams would fan out around the world, kill their targets, and then go back and meet next Tuesday morning.
And are these world leaders or are they normal people?
No, these are ground level terrorists.
Okay, so it could be someone that appears to be a normal civilian but is doing something that they don't like.
The law is pretty clear on this. It's supposed to be somebody who poses a clear and present danger to the United States, to an American citizen, or to an American installation.
Which can be quite a vague brief.
See, that's the thing. It sounds like it's clear. It's actually not at all clear. And when they get back from these missions, we just have to take their word for it.
Which spy force around the world did you think was the most impressive?
Oh, the Israelis.
Really?
Yeah, the Israelis
Of course they
have
are.
no rules.
None.
They'll kill anybody. What was it, 3 years ago? This pager operation?
Oh, it's
Which
so
was
fascinating.
Good
intense.
Lord, it was a work of genius.
It
It is
was.
genius. It is
It was totally illegal,
totally illegal.
but it was genius. The moving parts
I didn't
involved?
believe it was real. I had to I was like, there's no way that this is real. This is the stuff of movies.
It is.
For anyone that doesn't know, what was the story?
Yeah, okay. So the Israelis knew that Hezbollah, the terrorist group Hezbollah from Lebanon, was communicating using pagers. They didn't want to use cell phones because they didn't want the Israelis to intercept their phone calls. And they thought, oh, pagers, those are safe. So the Israelis bought a company in like Hungary, I think it was, that made pagers. And they got Hezbollah to order the pagers from this company. They were able to insert explosives in the pagers. And the pagers went to like Taiwan, and from Taiwan to Thailand, and then from Thailand to, I forget where, Syria, I guess, and then from Syria to Lebanon. And so what the Israelis did was they were able to activate the explosives in all the pagers simultaneously.
Killing people?
They killed everybody of any import in Hezbollah. They essentially decapitated Hezbollah. And then the ones they didn't kill in that operation, they bombed the apartment buildings where they lived. See, this is the thing too about the Israelis. If they want to kill you, they won't They won't like just do a close-in hit. They'll blow up the entire city block where you live. They'll kill 1,000 people just to get you, and they don't care. And then they say, what are you going to do about it? You're going to go to the International Court of Justice?
Do
Go ahead.
they really do this?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Did you ever interact with them?
Yes.
And how did you find them to be?
Miserable. My very first briefing that I ever gave as a junior analyst was to the Israelis. My boss said, okay, he says, you're going to give your first classified liaison briefing. So it's going to be the Israelis, and there are a couple things you should know. I said, okay. He said, we don't allow the Israelis into the building.
Why?
Ever. I said, why not? He said, because they spy on us. Not only do they spy on us, they would always bring gifts. Like, oh, we brought this wonderful gift for you. And every time somebody tries to bring something in, you have to x-ray it. And it's got like listening devices and it's packed with 2 years worth of batteries. We're like, you guys, you have to stop doing this. Every time you come here, you try to bug our conference rooms. It's bad form. You have to stop doing it. And then they're like, oh, okay. We knew you would find it. We're just kidding. Come on. So we have to meet them miles away from headquarters in a place that we rent. So he said, nothing over the secret level. No top secret information, just up to secret. I'm like, okay. So I go with like 12 analysts. And because I'm the junior most analyst, I've only been on the job at this point, I'm going to say 6 weeks or so. I went last. So the first analyst says, I'm the chief analyst, and this is my briefing. And then the next guy says, I'm the political analyst, and I'm the econ analyst, and I'm the military analyst, and I'm the oil analyst, and the tech analyst. And it comes to me. So I said, because I was overt at the time, I was not undercover. I said, my name is John Kiriakou, and I'm going to brief you on Saddam Hussein's psychological state of mind. Well, there were 2 Israelis there. One was from Mossad, and one was from Shin Bet. Shin Bet is the FBI of Israel, and Mossad is the CIA of Israel. So the Shin Bet guy, he has his glasses down like this, and he goes like this. He says, spell your name. So I spell it, K-I-R, I spell it. And he goes, you are Jewish? I said, don't you dare. I am not recruitable. Don't you dare even try it. I was furious. We went out of the briefing, I was going to explode. Everybody started laughing at me. They're like, they do that to every one of us. Every one of us.
They try and recruit you?
Yeah.
To turn against the United States?
Yeah. On my very first day at the CIA, we got a briefing from the CIA's director of security. And he said that all of us have to have in the very front of our minds the concept of counterintelligence. For example, he said, there's a steakhouse right down the road on Route 123. It's the nearest restaurant to the CIA. He goes, don't ever eat there. Why? Because the KGB thinks we all eat there. So all the customers are KGB officers waiting for CIA people to walk in and start talking about work. Don't ever eat there. I've never eaten there to this day.
Because they're potentially all Russian spies.
Mm-hmm. So he said, our Israeli friends have 2 officers in their embassy, one from Mossad, one from Shin Bet. The FBI has identified 187 undeclared Israeli intelligence officers spread all across the United States,
Dang.
mostly at defense contractors, trying to steal our secrets. Now, we give the Israelis 95% of our defense secrets. You want the F-35? Done. Here's the F-35. You want this advanced missile? Here you go. It's on us. So they steal the remaining 5%.
Do you think Jeffrey Epstein was a spy?
I believe very strongly he was a spy.
Yes.
Yes.
And who do you think he was working for?
The Israelis. I'm confident it was the Israelis.
Why?
Jeffrey Epstein is kind of the stereotypical example that they give you in training for what's called an access agent. This is a different kind of recruit. So, for example, if you're a foreign intelligence service and you want information, like close-in information from a former president, from the CEO of the biggest company in the world, from a member of the British royal family, you're not going to recruit these guys. You're not going to recruit Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or Prince Andrew. So you do the next best thing. You recruit somebody who has regular access to them. And that person that you recruit is going to need to make these people feel comfortable and appreciated. And so you give him plenty of money. So he has this house on an island,
Hey,
where he has
Orange.
the whole island. And maybe you bring in young girls, you get them in compromising positions, just in case you need to use what's called compromat, compromising pictures. We know now that Jeffrey Epstein's house on the island had video cameras, hidden video cameras in literally every room, including the bathrooms. Why? Why would he care what was going on unless it was to use that information against people? As I said, only the Israelis and the Russians use extortion as a motivator.
So would they have made Jeffrey Epstein rich
Yeah.
in order to give him that access? And
Yes.
How could they have done that?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, you do. I mean, governments are the only ones really that can launder money unfettered, and you can also do it through real estate, through fine art, and through horses. Those are the three easiest ways to launder money
Horses, like racetrack horses?
today. Fine art, real estate, and racehorses.
Ah, yep.
But presumably he would have spoken out at some point, no? He would have said something or...
No. But it would explain why he got a sweetheart deal in 2006. I mean, this is a guy that's been convicted of child sex crimes. And he gets 6 months of house arrest with an ankle bracelet? And we have mandatory minimums in this country. That's a 5-year mandatory minimum, first offense.
He definitely had some interesting power, didn't he?
And Alex Acosta, who was the prosecuting attorney at the time and then later became Secretary of Labor under Trump, Trump won, Alex Acosta said that he was ordered by the Attorney General to give Epstein the sweetheart deal. Well, who's the only person that can order the Attorney General to do something? It's the president. So was it because Epstein was working on Clinton? Most of the people down there were Democrats. I mean, what was the reason?
Maybe he was working for the US government.
It's possible that he could have been doubled against the Israelis or others. Sure, that's possible.
If you had to bet, what would you say? If you had to bet everything you have on either him being a spy or not a spy,
Yeah,
what would you bet on?
he was a spy. I feel very confident in that assessment. I debated Alan Dershowitz about this on the Piers Morgan show one time. It was Scott Horton and me who said that he was an Israeli spy, and it was Alan Dershowitz and General Danny Ayalon, the former head of Mossad. Ayalon was kind of into it in terms of having a fun time. He was just having a fun time with the conversation. He wasn't going to admit to anything. Dershowitz was Epstein's attorney. So I said that I believed Epstein was an Israeli spy. And Dershowitz interrupts me, like attorneys do. And he says, that is outrageous. If he had been a spy, he would have told me because I was his attorney and I could have gone to the White House and I could have gotten him a better sentence. And I said, wait a minute. You could have gone to the White House to say, go easy on Jeffrey Epstein because he's an Israeli spy collecting information from American politicians? If I were the president, I would have hung him from a tree. And then Piers Morgan said, General Ayalon, was he a spy? And he goes, who knows?
Who knows?
It's like, come on, man.
Crazy.
Who do you think is the real adversary of the West? Because we often talk about it being Russia or
I think it's China.
why? What is it that we don't realize about China and their agenda?
Oh, wow, so much. The Chinese are so good at what
Way
they do.
advanced.
And the Chinese are so patient. You know,
Yeah.
in the United States, we don't have long-term timelines for anything. When we want something, we want it now.
Is that in part because we have this 4-year election cycle?
Yes. I believe that it is.
Yeah, we
The
don't got
Chinese
time.
will plan for something 25 years down the road.
Because
Right.
they'll still be in power then.
Yeah. And so, you know, they're really good at stealing technology. There are more Chinese PhD students in the hard sciences here in the United States than you can shake a stick at. They're everywhere. They're at every major university, and they're really, really smart. And then oftentimes they'll say, oh, you know, I've had such a great experience here. I'd like to stay in the United States. Yeah, I bet you would. I bet you would. So you can spy for China
Do you think that's happening?
Yeah.
every single day.
You think that Chinese students are in America spying on behalf of China?
Yes. Yes.
How could you be so sure?
I'm 1000% sure
How could you be so sure?
because we frequently arrest them and then trade them for Americans who are in Chinese prisons. Yeah.
That's a sure
And they're
answer.
masquerading as students.
PhD candidates, always in the hard sciences. Always.
So China are the long-term adversary. And what
I
is it
think
that
so.
China want? What is it they're doing? And what is the outcome?
I think they want a couple of things. I think that on a more immediate basis, they want reunification with Taiwan. It's going to happen someday. Even the Taiwanese will tell you, yes, we're a part of China, but we're kind of not a part of China. We're not really independent, but we are kind of independent. And even American policy is that Taiwan is a part of China. And eventually, someday, they'll be reunited.
Do you think with everything that's going on at the moment with Trump in Venezuela and Greenland, this is going to create cover for...
Oh, I was hoping you would ask me a question like that. I think that's a very important issue that the media really aren't talking about. So let's put it in the context of what happened last week in Venezuela, because they're all moving parts of the same policy. So we sent a Delta Force squad into Venezuela a week ago, and we snatched President Maduro, and he faces international narcotics trafficking charges in New York. Okay, some people are for that, some people are against it. Whether you're for it or against it, it's happened. There's nothing we can do about it now. But that operation may
thank
have
you for lights.
inadvertently given the green light to something that both the Russians and the Chinese have long sought. The United States really is the only true superpower in the world. You know, the Chinese have a lot more people, they have lots of nuclear missiles, but they have one aircraft carrier. We have 12, soon to be 14. We have way more long-distance bombers. We have way more fighters. The Russians are bogged down in a war in Ukraine. They're winning the war, but they're bogged down nonetheless. So did this reinstitution of the Monroe Doctrine, saying that, you know, from 1814, that the Western Hemisphere is the territory of the United States, it's up to us to protect it from foreign powers. Well, in 1814, that meant the British Navy. We don't really need a Monroe Doctrine, and it's not up to us whether the Argentines want to have good relations with China, for example. We invoked the Monroe Doctrine in this operation to snatch Maduro. So does that mean then that if we have a sphere of influence that is the Western Hemisphere, that the Chinese have a sphere of influence that includes Taiwan? That the
Yep.
Russians have a sphere of influence that includes Ukraine? Because that's kind of what it seems. It looks like we've given the green light to both of those countries, and that we're conceding the fact that it's a unipolar world right now in favor of a multipolar world. Now, personally, I think a multipolar world is safer.
What's a multipolar world?
Multipolar world is where there's not just one superpower. There are three or more. So in terms of policy, this simple act of just sending a team in to grab Maduro has turned international diplomacy on its head. What do we do if the Chinese invade Taiwan? Do we really want to send American soldiers to fight and die for Taiwan?
What do you think would happen if China tomorrow said, you know what, we're going to take Taiwan?
You know what,
Hey,
honest
thank
to
you for the
God, I
rose.
think nothing would happen. I think we would rush to protect Australia, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, Thailand. We'd rush to protect them
Why?
because they're major non-NATO allies. They're good friends, close friends. But in terms of going to Taiwan to fight Chinese soldiers, I can't imagine it.
Trump told the New York Times that whether China moves on Taiwan is ultimately up to Chinese President Xi
Xi
Jinping,
Jinping.
Yeah.
not the USA, adding that he's told Xi he would be very unhappy if China changed the status quo. He claimed he doesn't think Xi will act while he's president.
See, and that is actually what the long-term policy is. The long-term policy is, sure, someday, to be determined later, you guys can unify.
Just don't do it while I'm here.
Yeah, don't do it today.
Maybe when Trump goes.
God forbid.
So going back to this point, you said they want Taiwan. What else do you think China want?
Well,
Do they want to see the US fall?
yes, sure.
And are they actively doing things to encourage that?
Yes, but not the things that you would expect. Instead of running around the world, overthrowing governments, invading countries, which is what we do, they go to countries and say, hey, you need a new highway system? We'll pay for it. You need a new airport? No problem. You need a new hospital, electrical grid? We have plenty of money from our gigantic trade surplus. We'll pay for it. We just want to have really good, friendly relations with you. And that's what they do. The Chinese essentially own Africa right now.
What are you most concerned about in the world at the moment? What does actually keep you up at night?
What frightens me the most is that the US government over the last 50 years or 55 years has so inflated its military budget that what we spend on the Pentagon is now more than the next 8 largest countries combined. Right?
All right.
Donald Trump right now spends $1 trillion a year on the Pentagon budget. He's asking for next year to be $1.5 trillion. We can't afford it. Our interest on the national debt is now the 3rd largest expenditure in government between the Pentagon and Social Security, and then the interest on the debt.
And why does this bother you?
Because we're going bankrupt. And all the while, the Chinese are letting us spend ourselves into oblivion. The Chinese don't spend that kind of money. How come I can't have a bullet train that goes 400 miles an hour? How come I can't get to Chicago in 3 hours by train? How come the airports in my country look like shit, and you go to Chinese airports and they're pristine with like the most amazing services and the best restaurants? How come Chinese roads don't have potholes? And in my town, it's like driving across Bosnia. It's because they decided not to spend their money on weapons. They spend it on infrastructure.
I didn't see that.
Do you think that's likely that the US could go bankrupt effectively?
I do. Yeah, I do. We can't keep up this pace. It's not possible. We're gonna have to raise taxes and cut the budget.
What's the most important thing that we didn't talk about that we should have talked about, John?
Ooh, that's a good question. One of the most important things in my life, to tell you the truth, is the issue of ethics. I love this country more than anything else in the world, and I want it to do the right thing. We're a country of laws, and we have to obey our laws, which is why I blew the whistle on the torture program.
Who's not obeying the laws?
Our government.
In what way?
We've gotten to the point, and it started around the year 2000 or 2001, we got to the point where if we want to do something, we just do it.
Like what?
In 1946, we passed something called the Federal Torture Act, which banned torture. Okay? Also in 1946, we executed Japanese soldiers who waterboarded American prisoners of war. That was a death penalty offense to waterboard someone. All right? In 1968, on January the 11th, 1968, the Washington Post ran a front page photograph of an American soldier waterboarding a North Vietnamese prisoner. When the picture ran, the Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, ordered an immediate investigation. That soldier was arrested, he was charged with torture, and he was sentenced to 20 years of hard labor at Leavenworth. And then in 2002, it's legal. We can do it. We can do it because we're the good guys. The law never changed. We changed. And my point was always, either we're going to be the good guys or we're not. Either we're going to be what Ronald Reagan called a shining city on a hill, or we're not. When I was stationed in Bahrain, I was the human rights officer. So I had to write the human rights report every year that we sent to Congress. Well, imagine if John goes in to see the Minister of Interior and I say, Your Highness, you cannot pick up a 15-year-old kid for marching in a peaceful pro-democracy demonstration and then murder him, beat him to death in the police station and call his parents to come and pick up the body. You can't do that. I have to report that to Congress, and you're going to lose your rights to buy American military hardware. But then the CIA station chief goes in an hour later and says, don't pay any attention to the human rights guy. I'll give you $10 million if you set up a secret prison here. We're going to send you some prisoners. You torture them, and then you give us a write-up of everything they say during torture. Who's he going to listen to? Is he going to listen to me?
Did that happen?
Yes. He's not
That's
gonna listen to
crazy.
me.
It's not crazy, but
If all of a sudden torture is legal just because we say it is, and then Congress is like, oh, we don't know anything because it's a secret program, so we can't talk about it.
Do we still torture people?
No. I am very proud to say that when the McCain-Feinstein anti-torture amendment was passed into law in December of 2014, John McCain got up on the floor of the Senate and said it was because of me, because of my revelations. He said, if I had not told the American people that the CIA was torturing prisoners in their name, we would never have known. That's why I say it was worth it.
Do you think you should be pardoned by President Trump?
I do.
Have you written to him?
I have to be careful with my language here. I applied. My name is in the system. I have very, very high-level supporters who have approached him personally, and I'm hopeful that it happens.
John, we have a closing tradition where the last guest leaves a question for the next, not knowing who they're going to be leaving it for. And the question left for you is, what's something you stopped doing that improved your life more than anything you started?
Feeling sorry for myself. I'll be honest with you. I have struggled with depression my entire life. And after my second divorce, I went through this period where I couldn't pull myself out of bed in the morning because I felt so sorry for myself.
Because of the divorce, or because of your life, or because...
The whole thing. I believed I was just a loser. I was in my 50s, unemployable, convicted felon, barely able to make ends meet, worried about where my rent was coming from one month to the next. And then I thought, fuck you. What's wrong with you? You don't have to answer to anybody. And I told myself no more feeling sorry for myself. I was going to go make a career on my own. And so I knew I would never work for government again. I knew I would never work in corporate America again. After I left the CIA, I was the head of the competitive intelligence practice at Deloitte & Touche, spying on Ernst & Young and PwC and IBM, and it was great fun. I'll never work in the corporate world again. So I decided I'm going to do what I'm good at. And I'm a terrific writer. And I'm told that I'm a gifted storyteller. So I'm going to write books. I have 2 syndicated newspaper columns that run in 212 small town papers around the country. I'm on TV all the time. I have 3 podcasts, Deprogram, every day on both YouTube and Rumble. Thanks for letting me plug them, by the way.
Go ahead.
Deep Focus on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts, John Kiriaku's Dead Drop, which is just story after story after story. And now I make a perfectly great living. I'm in a long-term relationship with the woman I'm crazy about, and life is good.
And it all started with that decision to stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Yes. If people around me keep saying, you've done nothing wrong, you're a hero for what you did, and deep down, I would do it again, then why am I feeling sorry for myself? I'm right, they're wrong, they're criminals, so I'm just going to go on with my life. And that snapped me out of it. So don't feel...
That was a good interview. I'm trying to see they got anything else that was pretty like quick. That was 4 hours long. All his interviews like several hours long. Oh, that was him when he was young. Huh. You would look on what's Obama's secret killer service? Hold on. We gotta
In
watch
the
this one
Obama
quick.
administration, John Brennan had the Tuesday morning kill list meetings because the tech got sophisticated enough that you could just write up a list of people that you want to kill that week. And you dish out the assignments. The teams go out, they kill everybody that's on the list, and then they meet next Tuesday and get that kill list. And you just do it week after week. Well, if you're not having to devote armies of targeting analysts to finding these guys, if your computers can find them just based on their, email messaging, text messaging, whatever, metadata, there, your job's easy. You just fire a missile from the drone, or you drop a guy in that does a close-in shot, and then you get back on the helicopter and fly home. I hate to sound cynical like that, but that's just the way it is.
I think that's just calling it how it is. What year or years was Brennan doing that Tuesday morning kill list?
He started in 2009 and
So
kept
Obama.
it going. I have no idea if Donald Trump kept it or Joe Biden kept it or revived it, but it was something that they were very proud of in the Obama administration. They were just going out whacking everybody.
Yeah, well, nobody dropped
New?
more missiles from drones than Obama did.
No, nobody. And, somebody said, I naively said, the oversight committees need to be on this. And then a friend of mine said, to say what in their reelection campaigns? We need to kill fewer terrorists. If I'm reelected,
Yeah. That would be a good one.
America in the 21st century.
And you and John Brennan are not the biggest fans of each other, right?
No, sir.
Why not?
John and I have always hated each other. I never liked him. I never trusted him. I believe that he is the archetypal sociopath. Somebody just by dint of his sociopathy has been able to rise to the top. Yeah. And we go back to 1990. I mean, I've known John for, what is that now, 35 years. Never liked him, never trusted him, never respected him. But he had a rabbi in George Tenet. And the next thing you know, he's at the top of the heap. It was John Brennan who literally put me in prison. John had a Nixonian obsession with national security leaks, except when he was the one doing the leaking. And now it's come back to bite him in the ass. And we can get into that if you want. But after I blew the whistle on the torture program, and John became the Deputy National Security Advisor for Counterterrorism in Obama's first term, he went on to be CIA Director in the second term. John asked the Justice Department to secretly reopen the case against me. The Bush administration said I had not committed a crime. They closed the case. I had no idea that my phones were tapped, my emails were intercepted, FBI guys following me everywhere. And then John wrote a memo to Eric Holder, who was the Attorney General at the time, and he said, charge him with espionage. And Holder wrote back and said, my people don't think he committed espionage. And then Brennan wrote back and said, charge him anyway and make him defend himself. So they arrested me, charged me with 5 felonies, 3 counts of espionage, waited until I went bankrupt, and then dropped the espionage charges. So I ended up taking a plea to a lesser charge. I did 23 months in prison. And it was because I had revealed the CIA's dirty laundry and this illegal, immoral torture program. And now it's John's turn to be on the hot seat. John and all his cronies like Jim Clapper and Jim Comey and Hillary Clinton and all these other
he
ones who
naming names.
thought they were untouchable, now they're going to have to answer for their actions.
So before we come back to that, I think it was in 2005, Brennan was appointed CEO of a company called the Analysis Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't this the company that was stood up for senior intelligence service officers to use as like a tax pass-through before they went to fucking booze out?
It was one of two. The Analysis Company was one. It was based in Arlington, Virginia, and the other was called Abraxas Corporation. It's funny because the Analysis Company was where all the SIS, Senior Intelligence Service level analysts would go, the retired analysts. And Abraxas was where the retired ops guys would go. And they were legitimately set up just as LLC pass-throughs, right? So people could go and smoke cigars and drink coffee and tell stories with their friends and hang out all day. And then lo and behold, they started making money after 9/11. Abraxas was bought by, I think it was IBM, for well over $1 billion. All these guys got not just rich, but they got like, Mega Millions Lotto kind of rich. And then the Analysis Company, it's funny, everybody, it seems like everybody who's left the Directorate of Intelligence has tried to do private intelligence, either as a singleton or working for one of these companies. And it never succeeds, right? Because pretty much anybody can do analysis if you're an expert enough in a topic. So why would you pay millions of dollars for these CIA cronies to write you a paper when you can just hire some professor and give him $5,000 and he can do it for you? He's as much an expert as they are because they don't have access to classified information anymore. And even if they did, they couldn't give it to you. So it didn't work. He was also on the board of, it was like BAE Systems, and there were a couple of Beltway bandits and defense contractors, 60,000 here, 100,000 there. And you put together a pretty good living.
Oh, well, that's crazy. All right, y'all. I'm going to call it a day. We'll look at more CIA videos later. And I will see y'all on next stream, all right?